Okay, everybody. Oh, we had a nightmare here last half hour. Kay made me do a lot of work, but yeah, Carol, I just got it deleted. Is it showing? Is it off, Carol? Should be only one. And you awake? I hope you saw the first show. That 10-minute video was a really good one. And so Kay's gonna be able to drop the links, and we had a lot of people blocked. Even Kay was blocked. So I was going through all the names. Maria was blocked. David was blocked. So hopefully Maria will be in here tonight. We had a big show this afternoon. 180 views already. I think, are we on the right one? I'll see if we're on the right one. Thought I. What you got? What you got? We're just gonna stay here. We got this one, so I'm not gonna worry about the others. All right. Me and Kay were fixing all the names. Maria was still blocked, so hopefully we'll get her back in here. Oh, I got it on my own. I have to go to the library. Kay wanted me to go to the library still. So, what do you think of the first one today, Ed? A lot of good stuff today, wasn't it? Okay, I resetted my phone. It's showing that's off now. Oh, darn it. Carol heard me, okay? Lucy got, oh yeah, Lucy Power just came back on, so she almost going to make it in tonight. Okay, we got about 2 minutes here. We'll. Him's not in here yet. Hopefully everybody will be getting in here. Shopwires not in yet. We got all the regulars. Terry's not in yet. Clock Bucket, are you out there? Deportable chicken. Okay, well, I don't know. I want to see if Benny has Okay, we're going to do Doug first. We'll get to Billy when we get everybody in here. Hopefully, you get everybody coming in. Get logged in now. What, one up here? Come on. Come on. No food. Too many bones. 319.45. Oh. Oh, come on. Now Telegram messed me up. Oh. Okay, yeah, I got it. All right, let's get going here. Oh, wait.
Bring along a little friend to help me with the news. It was too much news for one man to
17
carry.
minutes.
So introducing, it's Be Hizzy. That was it. There you go.
Or you mean Adam Adam Schiffer?
Yeah, we're gonna do Adam Schiff Melonhead in a minute, but look how huge you are. You look like a giant.
Hey man, I've been in the gym. I've been out there. I've been trying to get the gains in. So yeah, I'm looking like our federal budget right now, bloated.
Bloated.
Yep.
We just need to pull the camera back from the federal budget. For those of you guys who don't know, Be Hizzy, he was there back in the day in 2021. He got whacked by YouTube. YouTube invited him back on, but he's got a new channel that needs to be reconnected with an audience. So it's under George AA. Link will be in the description. George AA is the channel, and we're going to get you some subs and get you some views. You got to go watch because this helps the YouTube algorithm find his audience. We have a slightly different product, but there's going to be a whole lot of overlap between my audience and his. How's that?
Well, I think we do have a different product. I'm lacking a mustache and you're lacking sideburns, so
that's right.
You have a mustache viewer base and I have a sideburn viewer base. So we're both trying here.
Vote now. Subscribe and vote now. On sideburns versus mustache. Be Hizzy, we're going to do. So link in the description. Remember that, guys. And I'll do one more reminder before the show's out. But we're going to just go over the news together. We're going to start with Adam Schiff, just blaspheming logic itself.
And it's illustrative of the same message Donald Trump continues to send donors and friends. If you've got enough money or the right political connections, the law simply doesn't apply to you. In case after case after case, the message has been clear. Loyalty to Donald Trump is more important than the rule of law. It is more important than anything in the public interest. This is not what the framers intended when they gave the president the authority to grant clemency. And they certainly never envisioned it as a get-out-of-jail-free card for political allies, campaign donors, and business partners.
Okay, it's time to play Find the Illogic. Be Hizzy, did you hear it?
Yeah, this is the guy that's been destroying this country with his lies, from Russia to the mortgage situation. He has a similar situation to the Letitia James. Did you know that?
Yeah, the real estate scam. But also, did you catch that he was complaining that Trump specifically gave people pardons and clemency? What is Adam Schiff missing? I
actually don't know.
Biden gave him.
Oh, oh yeah. That's exactly what happened. Actually. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, the auto pen did. Biden didn't really know much about it, but the auto pen did.
I love these guys. Everything a Democrat says against Trump, they did 1,000 times worse.
They're projectocrats, right? What they do is they just say you're doing the thing that they already did. So when if they keep investigating you for it, it'll come out that they did it, but it looks like you already did it because they investigated you for it. It's a sick strategy, but I have to admit, it's a smart one. It's a very smart one.
Is it working? We're going to get into that later in this show. Does it work? Hold on. Here's my exhibit A. If it's not working, you can tell me what you think of this. Here's the New York Post. 70% of voters think the Democrat Party is out of touch.
Oh my gosh.
70% of voters. I'll just read one paragraph here as soon as I get this ad off screen. The percentage of Americans who believe the Democrat Party is out of touch has increased by double digits over the last decade, with 70% indicating the party is disconnected from the issues that matters to voters. So is it working, Behizzy?
Okay, it's not working. I take that back. Well, I guess the reason I thought it was working is because a lot of people think Trump is like a felon in the White House and whatever, but it's not working evidently.
And I'm going to cue this up for you, this next clip of Andrew Cuomo, because I think both parties are dealing with a split. You know, we're always trying to hold our side together and you want the other side to divide. So here's probably the least trustworthy man on the planet. Worst candidate ever is Cuomo, who I really need to win, that Mamdani guy. But here's Cuomo.
The truth is there's a quiet civil war going on in the Democratic Party right now. You have an extreme left, radical left. Bernie Sanders, AOC, Mamdani is just the banner carrier for that movement, versus the mainstream moderate Democrats. They now call me moderate. They used to call me liberal. Now I'm a moderate because the whole party shifted. And that's what this election is about. It is that civil war.
Now, there you go. Let's talk about a civil war, Behizzy. This is the man who killed thousands in old folks' homes. And that's the guy who all of our hopes are hanging on in New York, a Democrat calling out the radical side of his own party. What changed?
I'm going to be honest. Mamdani is scary in terms of like what his policies are. I mean, New York City is the nation's financial capital. Not even the nation, the whole world. That's where all the business interests converge every single day to do business. It's a very important city for us and for the whole country. If they're not doing well, the country is tainted in its image. And you're going to have a socialist run it. Rent controls, rent freezes, price controls, price freezes. This is legit commie level activity. So yeah, there is that fracturing on the left. But for being honest here, the reason Mamdani is popular is because Democrats didn't field the better candidate against him. Andrew Cuomo is a terrible. I mean, the guy's track record is disgusting.
He's a murderer.
He could fill a library all his transgressions against, New Yorkers. So I wish there was a better candidate, and he's probably going to lose just looking at the odds.
It's looking bad.
Do you think Curtis Sliwa should drop out and endorse him, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, and obviously Curtis is a better candidate for our side, but if you're number 3 and you need number 2 to win, number 3 got to get out. And I really don't like when people stay into, including when they went against Trump. You stay in so long that you just end up damaging the brand.
True.
They try to attack number 2, number 3 will try to attack number 2 to get to number 1. I just hate third party anything. I hate the third candidate in anything.
Ron DeSantis, essentially, he could have been a future president, but he ruined his career just, with the high heels. That was the worst of it. Not even the running against Trump. It was just wearing high heels everywhere.
Well, get the hint. Early on, if you see it dying, and there's always the temptation to stay in because you have donor money and you have to do them right. I got to spend all this money. And it's like, for the sake of the party, you got to get out. Now, the Civil War.
Hey, go ahead. I do think about this. And I think it's actually important. The only benefit to Mamdani winning to us is maybe those lefty billionaires or billionaires that are not like crazy lefty billionaires. The Bill Ackmans, he follows me on X. So maybe he might.
Hold on. We did a show this afternoon. It was really good. We got almost 200 views already. A lot of good stuff this afternoon. And I was on Liberty's phone call last night. Shout out to Liberty, K-Drop. Liberty's channel link for tonight. And then Izzy, his name, make sure you guys sub to him. He's good.
Might see this. Bill, you've been funding the Democrat Party bankroller. You give them every check they ask for. Maybe this is a learning that if you keep funding that side, you're going to get a Muslim socialist.
Yeah. It's my same beef with John Fetterman, who they oppose their own party. It's like at some point, you're in the wrong party. Yeah, do the switcheroo. So here's the Civil War on our side. I have to bring this up. Here's the Babylon Bee, a parody site. Rand Paul heroically dives in front of a Hellfire missile before it can hit Venezuela. So we have Rand Paul on our side going after Trump, saying some kind of an act of war, and the country is at stake.
Yeah.
And he's condemning Trump and Hegseth for firebombing these Venezuelan drug ships. Are you comforted at all that Rand Paul is some kind of a hardcore conservative, constitutionalist, fiscal conservative guy taking shots at Trump when we're about to lose the country and lose the Constitution if we lose the country?
Rand Paul, love his fiscal policies to reduce the size and scope of the federal government. That's something that I love. But the guy does not understand government. He doesn't understand optics. I mean, he would have these libertarians. I don't know. This is why they get their.
It's libertarians. They're not party people. I don't like them.
Yeah, they don't understand that you have to win and take strides one step at a time. I mean, the big, beautiful bill didn't really do everything in terms of cutting spending to the level we all wanted, but it started that effort. It was a starting point, and they were like adamantly against it. And it's like, come on, just vote for this one thing. And then that's how you build political leverage. Hey, I did that thing for you guys back in the day, 8 months ago. How about you do something for me now? That's how you build leverage. You have to give something to get something. But it seems like all these guys want to do all the time is get like their dream bill every single time.
Perfect.
And then they think they are owed that, even though they never participated in anything before. Thomas Massie is similar to this. It's like, okay, I get it. You're a libertarian. You don't want war, but we are dealing with cartels here. We're dealing with people who are trafficking all kinds of narcotics into the country to do very bad things to our citizens. So it makes complete sense to stop that.
And the reason why they're coming in and we have such a drug problem and an illegal problem, which a libertarian might be against, is because we couldn't unite and fight the Democrat Party well enough that they won and then did what they wanted with the border. So, if they're trying to fight for the Constitution, that's all I can say is the Constitution's at stake. If the Democrats take control of all three parties again, they're just going to reorient it and change the Supreme Court, number of states, all these, remove the filibuster, and they're not messing around. And it feels like our side in playing the purist thing. It's like when you're finally winning against the Nazis and they come out and nail your army for calling someone a name. It's like, yeah, I don't, or for beating a soldier or whatever. It's like, yeah, I get it. I'm not pro beating soldiers, but it's not a time for purity when you're about to lose the world. Here's how every senator voted on the bill to avert a government shutdown. Here's all the Democrats, all the red. All the red are the Republicans, and down here you're joined by Fetterman. And then here's all the ones that oppose, all Democrats. And there's Rand Paul, Massie, right there with all the communists. So that's my beef. Is I hate when purity only hurts our side and not the other side.
Yeah, when Democrats are not in power right now, so it's very easy for a few of them to just cross over and join the winning side and get some voting points at home. But when they have power, I have never seen this happen. I have never seen a Democrat vote no on anything Chuck Schumer says or Chuck Sniffer says to vote.
Yeah, you've never seen, I saw this point earlier this week, and I go, you never see a Democrat, when they're in power, go after fellow Democrats for not being constitutional the way that Rand Paul does against Trump. You know what I mean? Where's their guy saying, hey, we got to stop this. There's a constitution. Not one Democrat ever throws that one at them.
I think if Rand Paul lived when Thomas Jefferson was president, he would have opposed the Louisiana Purchase.
Yeah.
He would have been like, oh, Congress needs to approve this. And Congress at that time would take months.
Yeah. And bombing and firebombing the Barbary pirates.
Absolutely.
Ship invasions, he'd go, we didn't do an act of war. I got an answer to it, by the way. Trump needs to declare war on Venezuela so we can blow up their drug ships. There, everyone happy now?
This is one of the few wars I actually fully support because there's a technical reason why it benefits us.
Yeah. We're losing 150,000 Americans to fentanyl overdoses. Here's the last one I'll wrap up at the end of this show after we hear this quote on if you think the Democrats are going to cave anytime soon, like next 24, 48 hours.
Would you call on Senate Democrats to just go ahead, pass the CR so that won't happen and that you can continue to negotiate?
This is blocked, but it says Rep. Gottheimer, Democrat, New Jersey.
Well, I think we actually, I mean, it doesn't solve the health insurance problem, the premium problem. I think what's a very fair deal and is open the government and let's just vote on extending these premiums for a year or more. Well, I don't understand what's so hard about that. And by the way, Senator Thune has offered that, I believe. He said we'll have he offered up a vote that we can actually have a vote on extending these premiums. I think when put to it, you're going to see Democrat and Republicans, senators and congressmen and women want to vote for that. Why would you not want to vote to extend help with these tax credits, get premiums down for people? People are getting hurt right now in their pocketbooks. They're really need help. So why not give them some help?
Okay, they're hurting, and he's saying we'll fix Obamacare. Are they going to crack in the next 48 hours? What's your prediction?
48 hours is a pretty big prediction. Oh, that's the end of the month. Trump did say, they're going to do something about EBT benefits, which I don't like hearing. I'd like to. Yeah,
it's arbitrary, but if our government chooses to pay people welfare, that's a different issue. You know what I mean? You can stand against it, but it's different than what they're doing in holding the country hostage. Democrats from a weak position, having lost an election, and they're trying to exert plenary power over the entire system and starve people and use their suffering.
Okay, so
do they open?
See, here's the thing. I think, at some point they have to, but it depends on what their internal polling says. If it says, and it reveals, as all other polls have said, that the majority of Americans are blaming the Democrats, the minority party, for the shutdown for the first time in any shutdown ever. If that's true, and they know that's true, they're going to have to reopen the government because it's horrible for them come midterms next year. Because people are going to remember this, and they're not.
Do you think they have anything to lose, Democrats?
Well, they don't have. They're not currently in any political power right now, so
they got nothing.
If the Supreme Court rules that section of the Voting Rights Act is unconstitutional, where they need to get all these black people in these districts to keep voting blue, if they do that, that changes the congressional map drastically. Republicans are for sure going to keep the Senate in the midterms. If they now have the opportunity to add 18 House seats, it doesn't matter what California and New York do in terms of redistricting.
I'm still iffy on the Senate, by the way. I hope we do win it. I'm still going, we have to message this thing and make it last all the way to 26, and no one remembers a shutdown.
I think next year is going to be a really good year for the Trump administration. A lot of factories are going to kick up because they're getting built right now. A lot of things are going to happen next year, especially in that summer. There's going to be a lot of good news. I think the Russia-Ukraine war hopefully would have ended by that point, and that's a huge economic hurdle because that's 100 million plus people in Russia that could be buying our products and enriching us. And there's going to be a lot more trade deals that are made, and the tariffs are going to become less of a talk and a conversation next year. So I think next year, people are going to actually just forget about the shutdown for the most part.
And we're going to help them forget. We're going to make sure no one ever forgets it, because we have branding right here on YouTube, which is about keeping the pro-MAGA message, the anti-Marxist message out there, thanks to us having free speech and platforms now given to us by YouTube, as they should. I want to remind you guys to get George AA's channel, link in the description. Go subscribe, give him some views, get that ball rolling, because we all have to get back on platform and drive this thing to help Trump save America in 2026. I'm Doug in Exile, and thank you. Oh, I have to do a public apology to be his, because I smashed him. I accused him of destroying my channel 4 years ago. I made a public statement, so I have to publicly apologize to you, Behizzy. I'm sorry. I did you wrong.
Well, I think I have to extend that same apology, because I just blocked you after you did that. So there was no way for you to privately apologize either way. So, but yeah, no hard feelings, of course. It was a really.
Somebody's outside the back. So Chris, me and Kay were working on the people that got blocked. She was one of them. And a bunch of others. Maria was still blocked. I'm hoping Maria will be in. But we got her wrench back in there. She used to be able to drop. We got Busy's back on YouTube. She dropped. And I was on Liberty Warrior last night on the phone. And his link's in the chat. He'll be on at 7 tonight. Okay. You gone now, Chico. You scared them off. They dropped the tariffs 10% to China from 57 to 47.
Where I can really.
US President Donald Trump is back in Washington after what he claimed was a civil meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. The trade war has come to a halt with the reduction of tariffs and a more favourable trade relationship. Well, that's the hope anyway. But there are new concerns this morning about nuclear proliferation. We'll get to that in a moment. But joining us live is the Republican strategist John Jordan on this Friday morning. Good to see you again, John. So a bit to talk about with this meeting yesterday, but let's start off with China. Is the trade war at an end, or is it something of an uneasy truce now?
No, it's not at an end. This is an uneasy truce. Keep in mind, this is a great power conflict between China and the United States. And it's not just between two countries. It's two systems. It's Chinese communism and state planning versus economic freedom and pluralism that we have in the West. And the Chinese, they intend to supplant world government and replace the West systems with its own. I mean, that's what they say they want to do. They can't. So this is a temporary truce because both sides need it. Think Christmas truce during World War I. They agreed where they could, and they ignored a lot of the other issues where the conflict will continue.
So do you think, just like a flash, something happens in the next few months or whatever? Soybeans purchases is gone. The export controls of rare earths could well be back on, and then the tariffs are back up again. Is that possible?
Yeah, it's possible. Keep in mind, there's a broad spectrum of areas where the United States interacts with China, just even on the economic front. Do I think that the Chinese will not play the rare earths card again? They say they won't for a year. This agreement's good for a year, but they've lied and they've broken their word before with President Trump in last terms, and they've broken it with President Biden, too. So we'll have to see, but at least we have a temporary peace.
Yeah, there is something now. We like to talk oil, and we know we like to talk about its relationship with Russia. So if the US sends more oil to China and then China accepts, the point of that obviously being to stop China's purchase of oil from Russia, first of all, do you think that'll happen?
Well, keep in mind the Chinese, they import 90% of their oil, and they needed it. They wanted it at the cheapest price, and that, from their point of view, is actually entirely reasonable. Right now, they're getting steep discounts on Russian Ural grade crude. The next cheapest source for them would probably be the Middle East. The only way the Chinese back off Russian crude purchases is if they decide they really want to send a message to Moscow that the war needs to end.
How many wants me to show the planes, you guys? This afternoon, somebody wanted me to do the planes. Anybody see how many we get?
And that, I think, will be one of the leading indicators that China is pushing back from the table in Ukraine. Right. I think there's a chance they may do that, actually, because the United States had a big diplomatic coup in the Middle East recently, and I think they may want to be seen as a peacemaker around the world. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Beijing try something like that.
Do you really believe that?
No, I just said it's very possible, and it would make sense. It's a strategically smart thing for them to do.
Yeah, I mean, but if that were to happen, what would that do to the war? I mean, we've already spoken about India and its oil purchases from Russia. Would that bring it to an end then? Because it would hurt Russia's bottom line.
Yeah. Well, that's a great question. Already we're seeing Indian, both publicly, the Indian government refineries and Indian private sector refineries start to pull away from Russian oil. And, India is the largest seaborne purchaser of Russian crude there is, and about 40% of Russia. So we'll see Russia's oil income from exports. So we'll have to see how that turns out. If that's sustained, that puts a big dent in it. The Chinese may or may not be able to take up the slack, and they may choose to do it by just negotiating lower prices with the Russians and reaping the windfall. But there's some signs that China may be pulling back and trying to nudge Russia towards the peace table, but this may be an opportunity for China to really play the world peacemaker and try to seize the center stage of the world and saying we're the ones that ended the Ukraine war and try to build some goodwill in Europe. We'll see, but it's possible.
It's fascinating, the geopolitical system at the moment. It's fascinating stuff. Let's get to nuclear now, John. The US says it wants to resume testing, sparking some concerns about nuclear proliferation this morning. The president and the vice president have also said this morning, well, they've just got to make sure it all works. Is it something to be alarmed about?
Not really, because nuclear testing, for example, nuclear weapons testing is such a broad category. It's something that is so broad as to almost be meaningless. Nuclear weapons are not something you build, you put on a shelf, and you hope it works 40 years later because you built it during the Cold War. They have to be re-engineered, refabricated, overhauled, and there is some testing. And that's even but it isn't, the testing does not necessarily have to involve a nuclear detonation. They can detonate some of the conventional explosives used to trigger that nuclear fission or potentially fusion reaction. So it doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be above ground testing. There hasn't really been that since the Test Ban Treaty in 1962. And we're a country to have an above ground nuclear test. That would be a big deal and be a big deal diplomatically and expensive politically for that country that did that for little gain.
So that would be unlikely.
Yeah, there's other ways to test nuclear weapons and their components.
Yeah, okay. Good, as always, to see you, John.
Hey, that was today. So far, I got one person with the planes. You guys want me to do that before I do Billy? We haven't done the planes in a while. Oh, hey, Sheila. I think it's been a while since trying to get everybody back in there. Got the channel back a couple weeks or about a week ago. I gotta remember how to. What was the letters, you guys? Was it ASHB? Starfire, do you remember the letters for the planes? I can't remember what the letters were. Oh, wait. Maybe I got it. Yep. I think I might have got it. Now. I watch my phone. I got on my phone so see where I'm at. Give me a couple minutes here. Dang it. Give me a few minutes, you guys. I haven't done this in a while, so. I'm gonna skip the ad. Ah. Okay. I'm gonna see. I gotta remember how to do this. Do you guys remember what letter? What letter did I push last time? Anybody know? Am I doing this okay, you guys? Okay, Manhattan is in I think I got it, right? Where do you guys want me to check at? That's Florida on the bottom right corner, right? It's showing 70 on the, but 15,000. Ooh. Look at those ones in the green. The green there's a bunch in a row there. Busy down here. See where that's at. Tallahassee, I don't know where that's at there. They got a mess there. I'm glad I remember how to do this. Okay, we'll head over here. This is Austin here, San Antonio, where Kay's at. A lot of stuff is happening there. What do you think, Lori? It's only show, I think 36 is all what they're showing. There's the East Coast, right? San Francisco, I believe. Head over here. That's Oklahoma there, up there on top. Oh, wow. Wichita there. What do you guys think? And that's Florida. We'll go in the middle. Were we okay on that, you guys? How did I do? Oh, Garrett. See, there's got to be something to that, Garrett. You know, if they're not going to be Yep, that was good to know. Things there. So I'm glad I did the planes. All right, we're going to get on to Billy Bean.
Patriot subscribe. National Hurricane Center Space Weather. Hal Turner, Breitbart, Anaya K, Adapt 2030, Eston Taylor, Stan Deyo. Some of the things we'll cover: Atlas, and President Trump, and Masons, and flights to Mexico City canceled. And I'd like to say this: two of my neighbors were talking one day. And the first neighbor said, "Oh, she has a YouTube channel." My second neighbor said, excuse me, "Really? What kind?" And the first neighbor said, "Conspiracy." We'll also cover some new information about Walmart. So let's get started. So we have Melissa, now well past Jamaica, Cuba, and into the area of the Bahamas, Bermuda, and traveling east further into the Atlantic away from the U.S. It's currently winds 105, pressure 965, moving north-northeast at 24 miles per hour. Now we'll talk about Atlas. What's going on with Atlas? So we have the sun. We have Atlas. And we had another CME blast off of the sun, the far side of the sun, in the direction of Atlas. And it was the closest it will be to the sun yesterday, October 29. Now it's coming out from reliable sources that Atlas did not break up. In fact, it appears to have recharged as it went close to the sun and has dramatically brightened. So if we see it come around the sun, facing the more of the Earth side, we should see a much brighter Atlas. This is coming out from the Lowell Observatory Naval Research Lab, NASA with its SOHO satellite, and NOAA with its GOES 19 satellite, and NOAA with its CCOR coronagraph. And we have from the European Space Agency its JUICE spacecraft. We'll get a much closer and clearer view of Atlas on November 2nd, a few days from now. As to whether NASA, NOAA, the ESA will release their high-resolution pictures of Atlas when it comes around the sun is unknown. What is known right now is that Atlas does not seem to have been adversely affected by its closeness to the sun, further indicating that Atlas is not a natural comet, and that much more likely, as NASA put out a few days ago, it may be alien technology. So that's going on. And we have this from Besson Taylor, recent interview with Stan Deyo, a physicist.
Do you need $300, $500, or even $1,000 fast?
That Atlas, in order to not be drawn into the sun, would need an anti-gravity system, and it would need a 3D field. And Stendhal puts out the Philadelphia experiment on the Eldridge in World War II by the U.S. Included using a 3D field. If you're not familiar with the Philadelphia experiment, the Eldridge was a U.S. Warship in World War II, and the U.S. was experimenting with alien technology, and they put out some type of power field around the Eldridge that made it disappear. There are also movies about the this experiment, which are very good. You can still get them on DVD from Amazon or other sources, other platforms. And then in a few days, it reappeared. And what happened was anything organic that was near an inorganic field, such as a human close to a metal wall in the ship, part of their body could be lodged permanently inside the wall, and the other half still living outside the wall. There were all of the sailors on the ship were affected in one way or another. So that's going on, 3D field. So when the U.S. government tries to tell us or shies away from sharing information about Atlas, we can effectively say, shut up. We know that you know a lot more than you're telling us, we the people. And we have this from Redacted. So Redacted interviewed a former, I think he was a border guard supervisor, talking about a shakeup at ICE, and that ICE is really not equipped to take down the illegals in this country. And some are putting the number of illegals in the U.S. now at 50 million, because ICE primarily is made up of attorneys and non-field operatives who go against illegals, a one case folder at a time. So it's believed now there's going to be a transition of management within ICE, but also that the Border Patrol under Tom Holman is going to dramatically expand and begin massive street arrest. And also, it's being put forth that this would work best if in major cities where major arrest operations took place, that the U.S. military, not the National Guard, U.S. military set up a perimeter and also is assisted in deportations. So that's going on. And we said to President Trump, bring it. It's now coming out that we've heard for years that many believe that professional sports was being manipulated. You would see someone going out for a pass and they would fumble it, when in the past they would have caught it, and so on. So now it's coming out that the FBI has made massive arrests, 30 arrests, including some NBA players and coaches who were associated with mafia operations in Las Vegas, in betting and money laundering, and controlling professional sports in terms of, okay, you will drop the ball and this team will win, to juice up their betting winnings. So that's going on. And it's also being tied to Venezuela, the Trinidad Aragua gang. So that, and the mafia. So that's going on. We have this from Joshua Phillip, Crossroads. Currently, an audit is being done by the U.S. government of SNAP and EBT food benefits to see how many are actually eligible from the standpoint of being American citizens. And 28 different programs are being audited, include SNAP, EBT, housing, health benefits, and so on. And that goes along with President Trump standing up and reinforcing and enlarging the Border Patrol to begin massive arrest. So we have this through the eyes of Anaya K., a Polish journalist. I reported my last video, President Trump had just visited South Korea, and South Korea had given him a replica gold crown, symbolizing golden peace in South Korea, closer alliance with the U.S. I didn't mention they also gave him some type of award. It was in a, I would say, maybe an 8x16 picture frame, and it had a medallion and a lanyard, certain words on it. So Anaya K. brings this out. They also gave him their highest order of Mungaha, which is represents a Freemason type award given to Masons by South Korea. And it's been given in the past to King Charles III, the current King of England, President Duda of Poland, President Macron of France, and Elizabeth II, Queen of England. So President Trump also received a Freemason honor from South Korea. Now we have this from Adapt 2030. This is when we get into the conspiracy, which I believe is coming. So we know we have the government shut down. We're now into 1 month. And that the EBT SNAP food benefits are to be cut to approximately 42 to 46 million people. We don't know how many are citizens, and we don't know how many are illegals. Now, I found this very interesting. Adapt 2030 said, in the small town where he lives in Tennessee, remember the COVID, we had that shut down. And he said in his small rural town, Walmart had set up 19 locations where you could order groceries or other things from Walmart, pay with your credit card or your debit card. And then they had 19 locations where you could drive and pick up your order. He says, in the last year, Walmart has added 50 pickup locations in the remote rural area where he lives. Now let's review. So we had the COVID lockdown. Remember that? And I went to a local, I was living in a more rural location then. And we had a tiny Walmart, and I went to the Walmart, you know, standing 6 feet apart, wearing masks. And God said to me, look around, what do you see? And what I could see was on the floor, they had big signs, 6 feet apart, stand here and then here. And they also had some kind of acrylic plastic shielding around the cashiers. And when I really thought about these things, I knew then that this was pre-planned, that it would take 6 months to 1 to 2 years to manufacture the
It's time, your time, not just to go back to school, but to come back and move forward with
the mats that went on the floor. There had to be a certain consistency and strength to stand up to people walking across it. Also, the acrylic plastic guards in front of the cashier stands would have to be special made with measurements taken of that cashier stand, and that they would have had to have been already pre-positioned in warehouses to immediately be put up. And I had, as I investigated other sources, including a Christian millionaire who owned media platforms, who said he had personal knowledge that these floor mats, 6 feet apart, and also the cashier acrylic protector shells had been pre-manufactured in 2018. Another source said 2017. So we see COVID was in the planning for years before it actually hit. And then my investigation in 2020, after a few months, I came to the conclusion that COVID was a bioweapon that had been put out globally, and that governments and other groups had been in the planning of this global bioweapon pandemic, COVID, much more likely for decades. Now we see something similar happening in the US. I submit this. This government shutdown was pre-planned. The shutting down of the EBT and SNAP food benefits, pre-planned, and the media coverage saying that Walmart is simply going to shut down, and other food companies like Kroger and so on. And I know also at the local Kroger here on the south coast of Texas, during the COVID, there were many spaces in the parking lot set up to pick up groceries. I submit to you the possibility that we could be looking at a similar situation taking place very soon, and that the government shutdown will continue. We will hear stories about food riots in the streets, and possibly another lockdown coming where we order our groceries or whatever, prepay, and don't go to the stores and pick up at a designated location. I know during my college years, I worked at a Walmart. I was shown the underground tunnel and told that all of the Walmarts had, the large Walmarts, had large tunnels connecting them that the U.S. government had put in place in the event of martial law so they could move the military through the tunnels. I've also heard the CIA determined that just the Walmart locations was not enough, and that the U.S. government decades ago put in big box stores like Home Depot and Lowe's and Costco and so on to put in more underground tunnels underneath the U.S. for some reason. I submit that this government shutdown has been pre-planned, and that we should not be surprised if we see movements by the U.S. government that are similar to the COVID lockdown. So that's going on. And we have this, Adapt 2030. 50 more new pickup locations in a tiny rural area in the past year. So that's going on. And we have this from Breitbart. President Trump, in the past 48 hours or so, has canceled.
The new Monster Menu is now at Burger King. Try it today.
There are lots of VPNs out there at all different price points. Many of them are even free. So, should you use a free
13 plane routes to the Felipe Angeles International Airport, that's the Mexico City airport. Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, is outraged, and she has told her ambassador to the U.S. to immediately meet with President Trump's Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy. What's up with canceling flights between the U.S. and Mexico City? I would say to Claudia Sheinbaum, look around you. What do you see? You see about 20 naval assets in the Caribbean and also naval U.S. military in the Pacific Ocean on the other side of Mexico. And we see the USS Gerald Ford steaming toward the Caribbean. So, Claudia, we also hear that the U.S. Special Forces has been doing covert actions in the mountains of Mexico for several weeks now. Claudia, when nations go to war, they cancel the flights between the nations. So, that's going on. And now a short prayer. The name of this prayer is Masons. It's based on Ezra chapter 3. In the Old Testament, King Cyrus, rebuilding the temple of God with money and people, called forth masons and carpenters. And we pray, Father, in the name of Jesus, whom many call Yeshua, that America is restored and rebuilt according to the will of God the Father. And we say thank you, God the Father, God the Son, Jesus, whom many call Yeshua, and God the Holy Spirit. I say to my family and friends, remain steady out there. Continue to pray. God is in charge, and He is on the move. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, that's Billy for today. I got a photo up news for you guys. Come on. I don't want to go all the way over just to show a picture. Oh, Somebody is I better. I just found something. Shoot. Oh. Five arrests for the death of De Niro's grandson. Okay, I'm going to do some short clips now, you guys. Okay, we will do this one first. Now we're under 5 minutes, you guys.
Well, he could lose his license, according to Comer. But anyway, going to the report, the Biden auto pen presidency decline, delusion, and deception in the White House, the biggest political scandal in American history. Because it's like, who the heck was signing these? Oh, it was Zients? Was he the guy? He was just like A-okaying. I mean, there was an email in the New York Times that we know about where he apparently signed off on all this stuff. Let me tell you, Anthony Brunel, he was the chief of staff to one Dr. Jill Biden. He had a heck of a lot of power because, you know, she controlled access to Joe, and Brunel had a lot of access to Jill, and thus access to whatever people were deciding to do. On top of which, this auto pen thing was really bizarre. I mean, nobody's ever done that before in history. You don't just like blank, you know, check a whole slew of people that haven't even come under indictment for anything. I mean, think of how bizarre and crazy that is. Comer was on, who runs the House committee that came out with the report here, the oversight committee, forgive me. He actually went on with our friend Benny Johnson, and I want to share with you a clip from the show earlier today where he laid this out. Okay, so if you have an auto pen presidency, you really don't have anybody in charge. You don't have a president of the United States of America. You just have certain factions that are able to get whatever pet project they want through. In this case, you know, thousands of auto pen pardons. Let me just like point to the elephant in the room. The real fear is, were these pardons for sale? Were there some kickbacks? I mean, just exactly what went on. And you know, you can't live in a world where you just get on a list because you pay a price or you know someone, and then you get this like automatic pardon. I mean, it's actually really and truly bizarre. And why was there a doctor there who was not actually telling us the severity of Biden's decline? I mean, it's pretty obvious, the mental decline. For goodness sakes, I mean, remember when they were going to prosecute him for the FBI? The FBI had found the documents that were next to his Corvette in his garage, and he had taken these, knowingly taken these, and they were classified. And sure, they went after Donald Trump with all they had, and then they made the conclusion. It was Robert Hur, right, who said, well, you know, he's not going to be able to stand up in front of a jury and actually deliver any kind of sensible message. Why? Because he was that deteriorated by that point. Pardons? They're no good. Not according to the House Oversight Committee. Well, he could lose his license, according to Comer. But anyway, going to the report, the Biden auto pen presidency decline, delusion and deception in the White House, the biggest political scandal in American history. Because it's like, who the heck was signing these? Oh, it was Zients? Was he the guy? He was just like A-okaying. I mean, there was an email in the New York Times that we know about where he apparently signed off on all this stuff. Let me tell you, Anthony Brunel, he was the chief of staff to one Dr. Jill Biden. He had a heck of a lot of power because, you know, she controlled access to Joe, and Brunel had a lot of access to Jill, and thus access to whatever people were deciding to do. On top of which, this auto pen thing was really bizarre. I mean, nobody's ever done that before in history. You don't just like blank, you know, check a whole slew of people that haven't even come under indictment for anything. I mean, think of how bizarre and crazy that is. Comer was on, who runs the House committee that came out with the report here, the oversight committee, forgive me. He actually went on with our friend Benny Johnson, and I want to share with you a clip from the show earlier today where he laid this out. Okay, so if you have an auto pen presidency, you really don't have anybody in charge. You don't have a president of the United States of America. You just have certain factions that are able to get whatever pet project they want through. In this case, you know, thousands of auto pen pardons. Let me just like point to the elephant in the room. The real fear is, were these pardons for sale? Or there some kickbacks? I mean, just exactly what went on. And you know, you can't live in a world where you just get on a list because you pay a price or you know someone, and then you get this like automatic pardon. I mean, it's actually really and truly bizarre. And why was there a doctor there who was not actually telling us the severity of Biden's decline? I mean, it's pretty obvious, the mental decline. For goodness sakes, I mean, remember when they were going to prosecute him for the FBI? The FBI had found the documents that were next to his Corvette in his garage, and he had taken these, knowingly taken these, and they were classified. And sure, they went after Donald Trump with all they had, and then they made the conclusion. It was Robert Hur, right, who said, well, you know, he's not going to be able to stand up in front of a jury and actually deliver any kind of sensible message. Why? Because he was that deteriorated by that point. Pardons?
Okay, that's Trisha there. I got Megan coming up. Oh, wait. Yep. 5 minutes. 5 minutes on this one.
Ways has been a chair.
It's our favourite week because we get to talk to our favourite person in the world, the one, the only, the wonderful Megyn Kelly. Megyn, how are you?
I am great, Paul. It's so fun to be out on the road, and it's also very nice to be back on my couch, supine.
Now, there's some big news out of Washington, D.C. today, which is Joe Biden's former chief of staff, former campaign manager, has dropped an $8 million bombshell that perhaps one of the reasons why they kept him in office was so they could get paid.
OMG. So this guy, Mike Donnellan, was on the inner circle of the Joe Biden world. And I think arguably the top advisor to Joe Biden since 1981. And he was subpoenaed and he had to give a deposition to the House Oversight Committee just a couple months ago. But we're just now getting our look at the videotape in which they were trying to ferret out what the incentives were on his inner circle to keep this, you know, half comatose elderly nursing home patient upright and get him over the finish line in a presidential election. And they followed the money, which brought them right to the gold and the magic answer, you know, which was payola. This guy testified that Mike Donnellan is his name. He was being paid $4 million to work on the campaign to get Joe Biden reelected. And he had a $4 million bonus waiting for him if Joe Biden won re-election. That's $8 million to get Joe Biden reelected, which is totally out of whack with what most Politico operatives would get. These politicos don't get $8 million. That's extraordinary money for what this guy was paid to do. And all of that would be a scandal standalone. But when you see the videotape of him hemming and hawing in an effort to avoid having to answer the question, it is so telling. He gets asked a very straightforward question. I mean, it's not a tough one at all. It's basically like, hey, you know, is it true what we've heard? You were getting paid. I'm trying to find the exact question here, which I had. And he won't answer it. He is like deer in the headlights, trying to pretend he doesn't understand. Doesn't give an actual answer, tries to sort of do a runaround. Here it is. I've got it. The straightforward question was, just to be clear, would the amount of pay you receive for your role on the campaign, would that have changed depending on how far into the race President Biden made it? So clear. No one would take a minute, 20 seconds to sit there and try to figure out what the heck that meant or what the heck the answer would be. But he did, and finally managed to spit out, my sense is, in my view, the money was, it was a guarantee. The campaign, there was a negotiation. That's my memory.
In my view, the
Did we play this yesterday, you guys? I don't think I did.
That there was a guarantee for the campaign that we'd had a negotiation, and that's my memory of the agreement.
What? And they had to do multiple follow-ups to get him to just spit out the truth, which was he had another $4 million on the line if he could get Weekend at Bernie's over the finish line. And now, sitting here under oath, did not want to give.
Okay, sorry about that, you guys. We'll do our favorite senator. You guys see this one yet?
As always, unusual for Senator John Thune to display the anger that you saw there. Now he's telling us that he's going to personally engage with Democrats. Why now? What is the change in the dynamic?
Well, yeah, Thune did get a little hot and bothered. You know, I don't pay much attention to that stuff unless somebody gets stabbed, and then I'll pay attention. We're day 29 of the shutdown. It's a soap opera. If I were naming this soap opera, I'd call it As the Stomach Turns. There's a lot of melodrama. It's not going to end, Casey. I don't care what anybody tells you, and John can meet with Chuck and this and that and the other, but it's not going to end until enough senators take their egos out back and shoot them. And so far, that hasn't happened. And I do not see an off-ramp. I don't. If we did agree, and I don't think we could, but if we did agree on something on health care, it's got to pass the House. And I don't think well, of course, the House isn't in, but I don't think it could pass the House right now. I'm biased, but I think the mistake that Senator Schumer made when he said, no, I'm going to shut it down, he asked for, it was such a big ask. I mean, when you add it up, it's like $1.5 trillion, and wants us to gut the affordable care, the big beautiful bill like a fish. And it's just, he's so far out there, it's hard for him to get back off that limb. If he'd had something more reasonable, we might be talking. But anyway, that's kind of where we are. I'm not proud of it. My guess is the American people are thinking to themselves, a pox on both of our houses, and I can't blame them.
Do you get the sense that there is a change in the dynamic around a willingness to talk that's going on right now? I mean, SNAP benefits in particular, I mean, there's, millions of people in Louisiana who potentially are going to suffer.
I think the SNAP issue, look, I don't want to see people in America go hungry. Nobody does. I think that the SNAP issue will turn up the pressure, which is probably a good thing in terms of getting it settled. And this, no disrespect to Senator Thune, but he can have all the meetings he wants to with the Democrats on the Affordable Care Act and make all the deals that he wants to, but he he's going to have to sell that to the Republicans in the Senate. I'm not going to vote some way just because the majority leader tells me to. And more importantly, he'd have to sell it to the House. And that's what I'd really like to see us do. I don't know that Chuck would agree to it. I'd like to see us open government back up and have an honest discussion about how we can fix the Affordable Care Act. I mean, subsidies or not, the premiums on the Affordable Care Act are going through the roof. Something's wrong. That's an indication that they're not working, and we need to fix it or start over and do something else. But that's not going to happen until, once again, people take their egos out back and shoot them. And so far, they're not willing to do that.
So speaking of both the House and the possibility for finding a health care plan that will be affordable for Americans, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene put this up on the X platform this week. She said, quote, "Apparently I have to go into a SCIF," that, of course, a place where you read classified information, "to find out the Republican health care plan," implying that there isn't one. And she's been pretty vocal complaining about this generally. What do you say to her?
Well, I think the Congresswoman, first, she's entitled to her opinion. I think she was upset because the Speaker in a Republican House member conference call didn't talk about what he wanted to do. And I understand why he didn't, because it would, the House is like the Senate. It leaks like the Titanic. I mean, it would have leaked immediately. I get that. I think a lot of people, I've certainly been thinking about what we could do to try to fix the Affordable Care Act. There are a number of ideas being batted around. Association health plans, bringing back high-risk pools, which have been outlawed under the Affordable Care Act. I think a lot of young people who are very healthy, in between jobs, would like to buy a high-deductible health insurance that's not necessarily long-term. Now, a lot of the insurance companies are not going to like some of these ideas because they're fat and happy, and they're making money. In fact, the American taxpayer, the federal government, is sending subsidy checks directly to the insurance companies. That's also one of the things we ought to change. I have no doubt that we can come up with something, Casey. But once again, the longer we go, the egos get involved, and people get prideful, and you saw it with Senator Thune, and probably now Senator Schumer's going to feel like he's got to bite him back. And we're kind of like kids now in the back of a minivan fighting, and it's not a good look. But I've seen it before, and you have too.
Senator John Kennedy with an honest, if slightly depressing assessment.
Okay, that was Kennedy. Short clip. TikTok lady. He got short ones. They're only about 3 minutes.
And where do they learn it? At home, from teachers or from the media. It is a toxic seed that is planted early. And in this case, it may have helped cultivate hate that turned deadly. Now, here's surveillance video of Robinson literally jumping off a roof after assassinating Charlie Kirk. Authorities say he pulled into campus that morning right around 8:29 in the morning in his gray Dodge Challenger, which a family member has confirmed is his vehicle. He was first seen wearing a maroon t-shirt, light shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light shoes. He came prepared. He came planned. The outfit they described him wearing initially looks a lot like the outfit that you see him in on the right side of the screen here, with the exception of the pants. Now, authorities say he changed on the roof into the outfit that you see in the picture on the left. That's the one we saw in multiple pictures that was released prior to his arrest. However, when he was approached by law enforcement late last night, he was back to wearing the outfit he was initially seen arriving on campus in. Now, investigators have also recovered the murder weapon, an old action rifle with a scope, along with engraved bullet casings. Listen to this.
Investigators discovered a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a dark-colored towel. The rifle was determined to be Mauser Model 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices, bulges, capital OWO, what's this question mark. Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, hey fascist, exclamation point, catch, exclamation point. Up arrow symbol, right arrow and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow. And a third unfired casing read, if you read this, you are gay, LMAO.
Now, for any of you wondering what the arrows on the casing meant, I actually had to look this up. It's a sign of Antifa. Investigators, they also found evidence linking the weapon to Robinson thanks to the cooperation of his roommate.
Investigators identified an individual as the roommate of Robinson. Investigators interviewed that roommate, who stated that his roommate, referring to Robinson, made a joke on Discord. The content of these messages included messages affiliated with the contact Tyler, stating a need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point, leaving the rifle in a bush, messages related to visually watching the area where a rifle was left, and a message referring to having left the rifle wrapped in a towel. The messages also refer to engraving bullets and a mention of a scope and the rifle being unique. Messages from the contact Tyler also mentioned that he had changed outfits.
Kids are literally weaponized.
Okay, that's one of hers. We're doing last half hour, we'll do the short ones. Anyone see this lady yet?
Before you say, fuck you, that's enough. How many times? Once? 5 times? 10 times? Is it like an infinite fucking gift? I kind of struggle with the notion that when somebody shows you who they are the first time, fucking believe them. Because I fully believe in second chances and I fully believe in forgiveness. I do. What's your breaking point? You know, in relationships. What is your breaking point? In love, family, friends, significant other. What's your breaking point? I'm 100% guilty of giving second chances, third chances, fourth chances, fifth chances. I own that like a fucking badge. Not really an honorable one, but I own it and I wear it. All in the name of preserving relationships, all in the name of preserving friendships. And
she didn't sound very good. We'll do a video. We'll see how this bidding one is, you guys. It's 15.
Of the government food assistance, welfare, EBT, and SNAP runs out because the government shut down. And the reaction to the people who survive, or dare I say, thrive off of paying for their lavish junk foods. You know, you can buy Doritos and caviar and edible underwear on SNAP. Did you know this? That you can buy steak? Did you know that you can buy a lot better food than I eat on government assistance? That doesn't make any sense to me because I'm a taxpayer. I'm currently right now at an airport recording this because I bust my ass and I work as hard as I possibly can in order to provide for my families and my employees to make a company. But half of my wages get stolen by the federal government to pay for people who allegedly need it. But do they actually? And are these even my countrymen? There is a reason why this clip from Newsmax is going so viral. Newsmax host Rob Finnerty noting that most of the people getting food stamps, the U.S. taxpayers, are not even Americans. So I don't even have the benefit of paying for my own welfare recipients, my own people. It's not even American citizens receiving the benefits of my labor. 59% are illegal aliens. Let's watch.
Do you honestly think there are 42 million people in this country that need food stamps on a weekly basis? And we're saying people deliberately instead of Americans, because most of the people that are on food stamps aren't even from this country. 45% of Afghanistan immigrants are on food stamps, 42% of Somali immigrants, 34% of every immigrant from Iraq, 23% of Haitians, 59% of all illegal aliens are collecting food stamps, meaning that most of the people getting food stamps from the U.S. government and the U.S. taxpayer are not even Americans.
You can see why people would be rightly furious at this reporting, although it does have a community note saying that 89% of SNAP recipients are U.S.-born citizens, 1% are refugees, and 3% are non-citizens. Okay, don't care. Whichever one is true, there should be zero, I mean absolutely zero non-citizens receiving welfare. About 90,000 people will lose SNAP benefits on average per month based on new restrictions narrowing how non-citizens can access the program. Look at this from ABC News. There should be zero people on welfare. So yes, your hard-earned tax dollars are going to pay for criminal aliens, non-citizens, foreigners in your country. We could pay off the entire national debt by doing 3 simple things. Ban all non-citizens on welfare program, strict enforceable work requirements, and mass prosecute welfare fraud. We spend billions and billions and billions of dollars a month in SNAP, the same as we spent on the Apollo program to get the moon, same as we spent on the Hoover Dam. We spend per month on people like this saying that they're going to starve if they don't get their SNAP benefits, claiming that they will behave violently. Time to flip some effing tables if you don't get your SNAP benefits. Nurse Kate over here saying ultra-processed foods are actually addictive because, well, they were created by the cigarette companies. Cigarette companies took some of the same poisons that were in cigarettes and put them into ultra-processed foods and had people addicted for the exact same reasons with the exact same cycles. These people making videos like this aren't afraid of being hungry. They're terrified of the looming withdrawal from their drug of choice, foods. They create addiction and destroy lives, just like any other drug. Yes. I shouldn't have to work overtime so those who don't want to work can feed their kids. That's exactly right. Hold on. Why are you stealing from my children? You're stealing from my children and saying that I must be forced at the end of a gun, which is what the government does through the IRS, to pay for your children to eat junk food? That is an insane proposition. I reject it. Everyone should ask themselves why roughly $30 billion was added to the backs of U.S. citizens in additional SNAP benefits during Biden's term. How is it even remotely possible that this program doubled in size in a very short amount of time? Also note that this lines up with Joe Biden throwing open the gates of endless illegal aliens. It doesn't take a genius to figure out what this all is. Look at this. Here's Joe Biden right here. Here's 2019. We finally see some decrease in government welfare. And then this, look at this spike. This is all because of criminal aliens. They're buying them off. 42 million people on SNAP. 42 million people on SNAP. 1 in 8 Americans. That's not, so SNAP stands for Supplemental Nutritional Program. It's not supplemental if 42 million people are on it. It's not supplementing anything. People are using this to buy their full grocery carts and much fuller carts than I have. It's not nutritional either. The stuff that they're buying is absolutely total garbage. 70% of SNAP recipients are overweight or obese. Only 4.2 million or 10% are disabled. 44% of those are because of obesity. 3.9 million SNAP recipients are children of illegal aliens. 1.5 million are refugees. This is not okay. This is not sustainable. It should make you pissed. These are the kind of things that are making people pissed, right? Libs are trying to go off on saying wow, look, people shouldn't be able to have cookies, right? EBT is funding cookies. Look, EBT eligible, right? You see that sticker all over the grocery store. Here we go. How dare they eat something like lobster, EBT eligible. Do you eat lobster? I don't eat lobster. I eat ground beef because groceries are expensive. And I have 4 kids and they throw all the food on the floor. So I'm not going to get them lobster. You know what I mean? They're going to eat it off the floor. Seriously, as a parent understands this. A parent understands you eat floor food because the kids throw food on the floor and you just lean over and pick it up. Pick it up. You got a bite of steak there? I'll just pop it right in, right off the floor. But these people don't think like that because they don't have to pay for the actual food. It went from poor people will literally starve to death to if you don't want to pay for other people's cookies and lobsters, you're a bad person. That's exactly right. Joe Biden opens up the border, flood the country with illegals, gets them hooked on EBT handouts. Americans foot the bill. This is absolutely insane. Insane, ladies and gentlemen.
We believe education should hold practical value. But what does that mean? Well, at university...
EBT programs started, it was 1.2 million annually. It was 100 billion. 100 billion annually. All this is just obviously what this is a massive handout to Walmart. And they want as many people on SNAP as possible because this is a huge government handout. This is just a massive government handout to Walmart and Big Food. That's all it is. Walmart, Kraft, some of the most evil companies on earth. This is insane. Previous administration facilitated an invasion, and now we're paying to support it. There it is. Refugees will be among the first to lose food stamps. Oh, wow. Well, I adhere to the ideology that anyone who's not an American, of course, many Americans, I believe, are committing welfare fraud. But let's just start with take all the illegals off of all welfare, period. Fact-checking a viral chart on food stamps recipients. Thankfully, Secretary Rollins taking action on preventing illegal aliens from accessing food stamps. Very good. SNAP benefits are literally used for DoorDash. That's right. Hundreds of millions in SNAP benefits are used on DoorDash for people going to go order food. They can't even get up and get the food themselves. The lobster has to be delivered. The whole system needs to be reformed. That's exactly right. Me going to work every day and paying for it doesn't make me lucky. You're not better than somebody else on welfare. You're just luckier. No, not lucky. Nobody's lucky. I come from dirt. I come from farmland, dirt, soybean fields, trailer parks. That's where I come from, middle of nowhere, Iowa. If we don't get EBT, we're going to start stealing. Start? The entire program is theft. It's literally millions of people in our country like this right now. An Iraqi refugee on SNAP cuts. I can't stay in the U.S. without government support. Well, then, let's see here. Go home. If you want free stuff, just go home. Speaks English, able-bodied, won't work, but he has the energy to go bitch at a city council meeting. Wait a second. If you have the energy to go riot and steal, don't you have the energy to work? So then why are you on SNAP? It's a great question. The problem isn't 42 million people losing SNAP. It's 42 million people are on SNAP. That's exactly right. Don't make me tap the sign. It's amazing just how much leftist discourse is pretending not to understand the things that are making the discourse possible. EBT, Grey Poupon, SNAP eligible. Remember when Grey Poupon was the fancy mustard from France? Yeah. People are waking up to all of this. Why are we subsidizing lobster? All this SNAP discourse makes me feel like I'm the only person actually paying for groceries. Yeah, me too. Get rid of SNAP and watch the prices in the grocery stores plummet. That's exactly right. The prices in the grocery stores are artificially inflated by government dollars pouring into the grocery stores because people are buying up all the lobster. EBT and SNAP recipients are buying up all the lobster. What do you think that does to people that actually want to pay real money for lobster? They work hard, so they want to go get a lobster at the end of the week. What does that mean? If free dollars are going and people are just going and buying up all the lobster, what's going to happen to the guy that wants to go actually honestly buy a lobster? And by buying it, I mean just spending their government money on it. I'm really confused why all these able-bodied baby mamas are getting free food while I pay for it. If you can spend $150 on nails, $350 on extensions, and $400 on lashes, you shouldn't qualify for food stamps. Yes, food stamps need to be means tested. When did freeloaders become so more important than the taxpayers? That's exactly right. That's exactly correct. Look at some of the things that you can buy on SNAP and EBT. The trick here is if they include a food item, you can make the whole thing EBT, like a spice rack. Look at this. 3-tier spice rack, $63. SNAP, EBT eligible. Just go buy this whole spice rack.
Here you go.
Some of these videos of these overflowing grocery carts that would cost you thousands of dollars. Literally, this is a $1,000 order. And nothing. They don't pay nothing. There we go. SNAP eligible. Oh, yes. Premium espresso from Starbucks. SNAP eligible caviar. There you go. Don't you worry. You can just go get caviar on SNAP. And everyone just bragging about it too. We had our $3K at EBT. When our $3K and EBT hit that card, How do they, like, there's like an entire universe of how, like, of people living in this country that don't think like you, that have been generationally broken, that refuse to be part of the system. The system goes like this. A bunch of people, able-bodied people, go work. We all get taxed at a very low amount. And maybe some of that taxes goes to help people to stop from starving. We are so far off that mark. Ain't nobody in this country says that people should be starving in the street. And people wouldn't starve in the street, by the way. There'd be churches and soup kitchens. Like, it would just be the way that it was. People wouldn't starve. Not in America. They don't, like, people that are getting, I don't need to be paying for miniature-sized, SNAP-eligible Sour Patch Extremes or $1,000 truffle salt or ring pops bought on SNAP. This stuff is poison anyway. Nerds. It's wild. Matt Walsh is doing a lot of research on this. I've been doing a lot of research on the food stamp program. This scam is much worse than people realize. Do you know the average EBT recipient spends more on non-essential food items than the average person pays for their own groceries? The people who are funding this program are living more modestly than the people who are on the program. This is absolutely outrageous. It's unsustainable. The things that are SNAP, like, look at this, SNAP EBT eligible. The things that are SNAP EBT eligible, you just check out on Amazon. Just the piles of absolute garbage or luxuries that you, of course, would never. Here it is, like truffle salt. Here it is, it's truffle salt, SNAP EBT eligible.
Almost done. Okay.
SNAP EBT eligible. Isn't that amazing? The way this program works is it's just a massive carve out for big food to get massive government subsidies. We need to end it. We should end it all, and we should force everybody in these programs to reapply. If you're not an American citizen, off. If you're somebody who can go and is able-bodied and can work, off. You should be forced to go work. That should be a requirement. And maybe you do need the subsidy in order to get your feet under you, as they say. But that should be a requirement. That if you're able-bodied, you go work. SNAP is supplemental assistance for nutrition. It is none of those things, actually. It is actually a massive bailout for some of the most evil companies on earth. Walmart, Kraft, big food, big, disgusting, poisonous food, bad food. Food like this. Frito-Lay really needs that. So this government, so your dollars go straight to paying for some fat ass to go eat a bunch of Fritos, to go eat this snack pack. It gets stolen from you, given to somebody who has no gratitude for it, and then handed over to some of those evil corporations on earth. How is that a good use of our money? Of course it's not. It's the worst use of our money, actually. Giving without gratitude and receipt without any love. Ladies and gentlemen, this is something we're going to keep covering. It's made people really angry. And man, I feel like some of this stuff should be permanent, quite frankly. Thanks, government shutdown. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe from the airport because I'm busting my ass, right, to go pay for.
Okay, talking about SNAP. So I got two short ones. Halloween at the White House. Ah. What the heck happened?
Hand out candies and connect with real Americans. Tell us what's been going on there.
Yeah, no, it is a beautiful night out here, and we have all different departments, from the Department of Agriculture to the United States Post Office.
Okay. Let's try that again. Hold on. I'm getting tired. My hands are slowing down.
To get connected. I'm excited. Great optics, right? Great optics. I love this. The president just came all the way back from Asia. He's had like a crazy 10-day run. He comes back, and the first thing he does is hand out candies and connect with real Americans. Tell us what's been going on there.
Yeah, no, it is a beautiful night out here, and we have all different departments, from the Department of Agriculture to the United States Post Office, are all set up in tents, and they are handing out candy as well. And you see Donald Trump behind us and Melania. And my first question to Lance over here was, did he even sleep? Did he even have enough time to rest before celebrating Halloween? He walked out to Thriller. Honestly, it couldn't be better, John.
Yeah, I can answer the question. I don't think he ever sleeps.
Okay, we'll be over there.
He always is working. He's got an engine unlike anyone I've ever seen in American politics. And so my guess is he didn't sleep, and he probably won't sleep even after this. But we'll see. There's a lot of optimism in the White House. It's been a good week. All the things that were rolled up on this trip, rare earth deals with China, meeting the new conservative prime minister in Japan, tens of billions of dollars of new investment announced in America. What's the mood inside the White House? What's the messaging you're hearing as you're hanging out there?
Honestly, John, everything feels great. Everyone is smiling, and it just feels like great energy. And I think, one of the things about Halloween is it gets very spooky. But what people don't understand is that it is a holy holiday in a way, with All Hallows Eve. And so it just feels like overwhelming Christianity and faith here. And it's incredible seeing all the staff members and Secret Service family members here trick-or-treating with their kids, as well as they're even having some foster kids here, and kids that can be adopted. So it's really incredible, and I think the First Lady is doing a great job putting some initiatives into place for these families. But I will say, John, I don't think we're going to see any biting of children tonight like we did in the Biden administration.
Thank goodness for that. I can't get that image out of my head. You're right. Well, it's an amazing time, and the optics are amazing. You can see the decorating's amazing. That's all things that the First Lady has always put her touch on. Benny, it's awesome to have you here at RAV. Awesome to have you at the White House. We'll try to come back to you as the event comes on, and we're going to get through a little news headlines and then come back to you.
Okay, John. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Okay, last one for tonight, you guys. 2 big shows we have today. Five minutes.
It's very concerning to me how to get the truth out there before, this thing just snowballs, or at least try to push back on what a lot of people are saying right now. Now, if you don't know, 2 days ago, there was an article published by the New York Times, and it was a situation that this comes from credible sources, according to the New York Times, where Tulsi Gabbard, the DNI within the Trump administration, and her head advisor, Joe Kent, were apparently investigating whether or not there was foreign governments involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination. And this is part of their counterterrorism efforts to assess the situation and see whether or not foreign governments were involved, or whether or not Tyler Robinson was a lone gunman on his own accord with no influence. Right. So apparently Kash Patel, the FBI director, caught wind of this, and he shut it down completely. There was apparently a roundtable discussion, and Kash Patel just completely killed this and made it so that they couldn't proceed. Now, people immediately, when they saw this, called Kash Patel a deep state traitor, said that he's working for foreign governments, that he's essentially doing this to prevent the word from getting out, from the truth from getting out. And it's not that simple, guys. That's my counter argument. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like I have any special details or any insider information. I don't know any more than the general public does on what really happened that day. But what I do know is that Kash Patel has a very specific role and responsibility in the position that he is currently in. And what's very important for people to understand is that Tyler Robinson is currently on trial. Tyler Robinson has a defense attorney that's going to mount a defense to try to prove his innocence and to taint the evidence and discredit the evidence against him. That's his defense attorney's job. Am I correct? So wouldn't it make sense for Kash Patel to do everything in his power to make sure that the chain of custody and procedures and protocols are followed to the T regarding the evidence around the assassination, making sure that every I is dotted and T is crossed, so that Tyler Robinson's attorney cannot mount a defense and negate that evidence from trial, right? So when you find out that you have Joe Kent and Tulsi Gabbard essentially tampering with the evidence without approval from the FBI, who are the point men on all this, then wouldn't you shut it down? I mean, there's an active FBI investigation going on right now. It's within their scope, it's within their purview to investigate these crimes. That's their role. Now, it's very important that we do know whether or not foreign governments were involved, but who's to say that the FBI is not investigating that as well? So it appears that there was a little bit of a rift, that there was a little bit of a overstepping of boundaries, and Kash Patel is doing what's necessary to preserve the chain of custody on this evidence, and to make sure that, not to mention the fact that leaks are very common within government, and the more people from the outside of the investigation get involved, the higher the probability of that happening becomes. So I really don't think this is what a lot of people are saying it is. I think this is Kash Patel doing his job. And that's not just me being a loyalist. That's me looking at it from the perspective of someone who actually wants to make sure the person who assassinated Charlie Kirk is held accountable for his actions. So that's what I have to say about this, ladies and gentlemen. Just a quick update. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section. If you disagree with me, that's fine.
Yeah, I think that was the one that Garrett was talking about at the beginning of the show. All right, everybody. Yep, we had 2 good shows today. So I think I better stick with one show. But there was so much intel out. A lot of stuff is going on. And tomorrow is Halloween, right? Or is it tonight? Tonight the 31st? I think tomorrow's the 31st. So make sure everybody, if you guys can, swing over to Liberty there and say happy birthday. And then I think Kay dropped his link in chat there at the beginning of the show. Yep, tomorrow. Yep. All right. God bless everybody. Remember, please hit the like. Thank you, Kay. I'm glad we got everything straightened out today. I think Maria might be still blocked, I think. I don't know. Hopefully she'll get in there. All right. They say stay strong, keep the faith, never give up, and anything develops, I'll be on. So sign on off. Chico and Dude. All right. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.